One of the things that art does is to create an experience that puts an individual within a matrix of ideas and dilemmas and complexities, just like our own lives. And when art does that, we as individuals have to make decisions and discriminations. And this is why art matters. If someone just says, think this or think that, we have a choice. We can either agree or disagree. But with a great piece of writing, or a great movie, or a great even piece of music or dance, we can be transformed. And how we see the world then is transformed. If we can change the perspective and perceptions of our audience, then if we can change the way they see, then we can change the way they think. I think one of the things that really distinguishes the Pacific program is its attention to a sense of community among the writers. And adult writers working alone or even in good small writing groups, wherever their hometowns are, inevitably begin to feel limited in what they're able to absorb and what they're able to do in terms of moving to what they might feel is that next step. One of the things a program like Pacific's able to do is to create a sense of possibility, a whole realm of what's next in your writing life. And this is a really rare thing in our culture. It's a rare thing to have the writers of this quality who are also exceptional teachers. There are a lot of wonderful writers out there, but they aren't all terrific teachers. And it certainly has been my experience at Pacific that the level of teaching, the level of the workshops could not be higher. I would set it against any MFA program, low residency or not, in this country. There is no cookie-cutter response to the students. Every writer is treated individually as the writer they are. And this is more unusual than you would imagine. Each writer is treated by their mentor with, certainly from what I've seen, extraordinary individuality. The integrity of each of the students, him or herself, is so highly respected. And so it allows each of the writers to become the best writer he or she could become. And I think we simply can't ask for anything better than that. One of the things that's been really important to me is to be able to grant each of the writers I work with the integrity of who they are as an individual writer. Writers come to programs with very different needs in terms of where they are. They come to programs, they come to their mentors with very different ambitions for what they want for their work. The first thing I try to tell them is that there's a difference between an ambition for themselves and an ambition for their work. And the important thing is the ambition for their work. And so, depending on where they are in their own writing lives, we try to determine what next, who they can read, what's most essential for them to grow as writers. And for me, it's one of the most exciting parts of the process, helping someone to discover for themselves the writer they might want to be, often through reading. One of the important components of Pacific is the range and the amount of reading that's asked of the participants, of the students. And I think that one simply can't write unless one reads. And both the range of reading that's recommended and the kind of depth of the commentaries that's being requested are both really essential elements of the strengths of this program. A writer doesn't grow without taking risks. The greatest risk is to write something so far outside your comfort zone. I continue to write in order to discover what I will write next. If I knew what I was going to write next, I would stop. What would be the point? And I think you'll hear many writers say that. The risk involved is doing something unfamiliar, doing something, especially after one has established a certain presence as a particular writer, doing something that seems unlike yourself. One of the reasons I so admire the recent work of Bob Hass is that there are poems that feel like Bob Hass poems, and there are poems that feel completely unlike Bob Hass poems. And it seems to me this is how one stays alive as a writer. Often, if someone is as well known as Hass, his or her fans take exception to a writer changing styles or being eclectic in styles. But they have to remember this is how writers stay alive and how they stay alive for their future work. The best political poetry is the poetry that creates a profound empathy with what is other than yourself. And this is really, it seems to me, the great thing poetry is able to do. Probably better than anything, I believe poetry creates empathy for both those and what is other than us, including the environment, including the things of the earth as well as other people. A poetry of social conscience and social commentary has always been important. It's been important at every historical point in literature. I think that there are particular moments that it becomes an essential act. I think that one of the things that I really admire, for example, about Marvin Bell's book, Mars Being Red, is that it is so deeply felt and wisely reasoned. And he understands the force and the power of language in creating sympathy, empathy, and understanding. One of the advantages to being at a program like Pacific is that one is able to find a context for the writing of both personal experience and the writing of conscience. And the writing of conscience is a very difficult thing to bring into the world in a way that feels both intimate and genuine. And this is a faculty that quite exceptionally, I think, is able to help guide students to be able to talk about the things that matter most to them and to address those issues which are invariably complex and dangerous, to find ways to language that will make those poems and stories and memoirs of relevance not only to the students themselves, but to a larger body of readers.